This is our midpoint check-in call for PurpleStride Richmond, although because we did not have our kickoff call with you in October, which is totally fine, this sort of serves as both kickoff and check-in. So just a few things we'll go over today. There are a few big picture things we'll go over at the beginning, but mostly we're going to be looking at specifically at Richmond's sitemap, route, tent order, and of course, get any questions that you have for us, Kim, issues from last year that you want to talk about, anything that you want to just make sure we have on our radar as we continue to just charge full steam ahead through the planning process. I think we can skip introductions. I think we all know each other. So let's go ahead and get right into it. First things first, I always just like to give a plug to the shared resource site. Kim, I think you are well familiar with this by now. It's the same this year as it's been in past years, just sort of acting as the hub for all of our interactions that we're having with the entire series throughout the planning process. So right now there are a few things in the Richmond folder, in the community specific folder, and I just called out on this slide specifically a few training resources. I don't think you personally need any of these, Kim, but if there's anybody who you're working with this year who maybe is new to the project, particularly if it's somebody who's going to be helping out with the route at all. I know in the past few years, we sort of lean on the affiliate to help us out with the route lead. Did you have a route lead as a volunteer in Richmond last year?
We do. Okay. My brother did it last year. Was his second year, I think, and he is able to come back this year.
Amazing. Brothers are the best. So again, like if he's done it before, this probably won't be shining light on anything that he doesn't already know. But if he did just want a little refresher on the route operations piece of it, there's a couple tutorials specifically linked here. We will share this deck out with you at the end of the call, so you can just click on the links if you want to access them. But everything is in the tutorials, trainings, and meetings folder. All kinds of great little recorded tutorials in there. Always good to just go poke around if you want to see what's what.
Okay.
Checking in real quickly on our deliverables timeline. So this is very similar to how we had it last year too, where we have a few pre-designated dates of when we're going to be updating your market specific documents. So that first date was last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, the 2nd of January, when we uploaded the first round. So first crack at the sitemap. The route lives on Google My Maps, and so that's always live. And the vendor tracker, which you've heard us refer to in the past as the IRF, that very long name for the vendor tracker, the infrastructure request form. We did upload these for Richmond on the 2nd. If you haven't popped in there and checked them out yet, it's totally fine. We're going to go over them on the call today and screen share. Just want you to know that you can go back to that Richmond folder and find them there after this call is over. If you want to discuss with Anna or any other volunteers or just look at them in a little more detail yourself, that's where you will find everything. Here's where we are right now. We are in the process of reviewing documents on Market Call 2. That's what this is today. We'll be doing this for a couple more weeks. But even after our call is done today, specifically about Richmond, if you go back and you're taking a look at the tent order or something about the sitemap that you decide, you know what, actually, I do think I want to make a change on this, you have until the end of this month to get us any of that feedback. And anything we get by the end of January, those changes will be incorporated into the next round of updated documents that we post on February 9th. You can still get us feedback after the end of January. That's totally fine. We're just not going to send you a new copy of the map every time we move a tent around or add a tent to the tent order.
Sure.
The next update you'll get after that February 9th one will be on March 23rd. This is right before the third call that we do with you, which is the pre-event call, the final details. And your deadline to get us input before that one is March 16th. And that's kind of the big bad deadline for any change requests that you might have after affiliate meetings, chats with other volunteers, anything you want to send our way to say, like, we just want to request to make this small change about this or that. You get us that information by the 16th. Those changes will be incorporated into those documents that we share on the 23rd. And then those are what we'll go over on that last call with you. Caveat on that date is that we know that March 16th comes before the teams and sponsor deadlines. So those elements, we will get full final lists from PanCan once those deadlines pass, so we know exactly how many all-star teams and sponsors you might have, and then we will go ahead and incorporate those into the tent order and the documents based on those numbers we get. We'll review them on that final market call we have. We'll do one more update to the vendor tracker, and then everything is stamped big capital F final in time to go in the event book on April 17th. It's one of those weird things where it's January and it's wild to be talking about April, but we're going to blink and it's going to be here. So
feels this like is tomorrow.
I know it. I know it. Any questions about the deliverables, the timing on any of this?
No.
Okay, great. All of these dates are in the volunteer calendar also, so nothing should sneak up on you. All right. So on the October calls, we did dive in a little bit to some of these infrastructure changes that these are decisions that PanCan as an organization made that sort of impact the entire PurpleStride series. Have you seen this before, talked with Anna about it? Is this the first time you're seeing any of this? Okay.
Yeah, this is new.
Okay, so the goal, of course, behind some of these changes is, just financial responsibility and saving money where we can. And where it came down that PanCan, with our input, determined we can make the most impact in that sense is cutting some elements out, particularly from some of the smaller events that we have. So if we're looking at this center column here, the core package, Richmond does fall under this category as being an event that's projected to have fewer than 700 participants. So you're going to see a few changes on here that are going to affect the layout, affect the look of the event a little bit. And we can go through these. And then when we look at the map together in the tent order, we'll sort of see what the impact is on those there. Your stage setup is going to be a little bit smaller this year. It's going to be a 4x8 stage rather than an 8x16. That'll have the nice skirting on the front and everything. Rather than having the full-size truss structure behind the stage to hold the stage backdrop banner, it's going to basically have a 10x10 tent frame on 10-foot legs that just goes over the stage, and then a backdrop will be hung at the back of that tent frame. So it's sort of like a covered stage with the backdrop at the back of it. Start finish line, same thing. Those truss structures come at a big price a lot of the time, and we're actually cutting them out from even the larger events if there's not a premier sponsor. So if it's an event of any size that has no premier sponsor, we're leaning on the affiliates to come up with some other way to mark the start finish line. This could be a balloon arch or columns. I believe that we're going to be adding some tall feather flags to the signage portal that you can order if you're interested in marking it with feather flags. Some markets are already talking about sourcing and obtaining an inflatable arch that you would just keep in your storage unit for future years too. It's really up to you. You can chat with Anna and brainstorm a little bit on what's going to be the best fit for Richmond. If you need ideas from us or want to hear what some other markets are doing with their start finish, we can give you some feedback there. Does Richmond have a premier sponsor, or have you historically? Okay.
We have not.
If one does come around, we're going to get some additional signage to go at the start finish because the premier sponsorship is tied to start finish branding. So there will just be some extra signage that went to the start finish with that. Your registration and donations historically have had their own tent, and then volunteer check-in has its own 10x10 tent. This year, we're combining all of those into a single 10x10. So this shouldn't impact things too much. Your volunteers will still check in, get their t-shirts. Registration and donations, those tents typically are not getting a whole lot of foot traffic at them anymore anyway, because we're not doing on-site registration. There's not a ton of people who are bringing donations to the event, but everything will be in that one tent with signage on both sides indicating that it's for volunteers and registration donations. A few other tents around the event village. The Why Do You Stride tent, that tent where people go in and leave their messages in Sharpie on the banner, is not going to be in its own tent anymore. And same with the photo backdrop. So they will not have their own tents anymore. We're looking to use other sides of existing tents that we have to hang that banner up, to put the photo backdrop, to hang the sponsor banner. So some of these places where these could go would be like the side of that registration tent. If you want to put your sponsor banner there, perhaps you put Why Do You Stride on the outside of the survivor tent, and people can go sign the banner on the outside of that. Again, we can offer some suggestions for places and ways that you can do this. The other option that you have is that we can get one 10 by 10 tent frame. So imagine a tent without the top on it, just the metal frame. And you can place that anywhere you want in your event village. And then you've got 4 sides to play with and hang banners on all 4 sides if you want to. So you could put the photo backdrop on one side and Why Do You Stride on another side and the sponsor banner on another side. If you're like many other markets, you might have even like old photo backdrop or Why Do You Stride banners in your storage that you want to pull out as sort of a nostalgic thing. You can do that too. So you don't have to make this decision right now about whether you want to use existing tents or whether you want a separate 10 by 10 tent frame. It's easy enough to add that to the tent order down the road, but that would be part of that March 16th deadline that we need to know by then if we are adding that tent frame for you. Another big one on here is the AV package. So historically, Event 360 has booked the AV vendor. They come with the sound system and the speakers and the microphones. This year for the core package markets like Richmond, we're asking you to source the AV system through your DJ. Have you had you don't have a DJ here?
We have a DJ, but he's a person. So
okay, so
he's like, he talks and does the music and that kind of stuff, but he doesn't have the equipment.
Okay, so this may be something that you work with Anna on to see. You can still, you want to use your same MC, your same DJ that you've had before, but it may just be a matter of contacting like a DJ company who has that small thing. Imagine like kind of a smaller scale sound package that you would take out to a park picnic or a middle school dance or something where you've got a DJ coming with their, not the huge stacks and towers of speakers, but speakers that kind of go on tripods, and it's just going to be a little bit smaller setup. We also have a list, and this is on the shared resource site as well, of exactly what AV we're asking you to find or your DJ to find, exactly what equipment we're looking for, sort of packaged in with that AV.
Erin,
and basically, yeah.
Sorry, I just want to ask a quick question.
Yeah.
Because this one, I'm a little bit wrapping my head around this because when you guys first rolled this out, I wasn't working with Richmond yet. And as you know, my other affiliates don't have, so I'm like, this is a little bit new to me too. So
sure.
Are you guys able to give us the info for who you've used previously, or is that not an option because they only provide like the bigger packages?
We can. I don't know specifically what the AV vendor in this market has done. In a lot of cases, they are bigger, like actual audiovisual companies, and not, they may be able to hook you up with a smaller package. I will look back at who our vendor was here last year for AV, and I can send you that information, and then you would just reach out to them.
Just because that would be a good starting point. So,
yeah. Especially if they're familiar with the event, that's a good place to start. Right. A lot of these markets, as I'm sure you know, have DJs that have the full setup, and they're all too happy to be like, yeah, I'll bring my own equipment, no problem. So if that's not the case here, totally fine. We definitely have ways we can work around that. Just a couple other things here. Road closures, this does not apply to Richmond, so we need to talk about that. Food and beverage tent, we're looking to eliminate that if weather permitting. If it's looking like you're going to have rain in your forecast, then we will, of course, have a 10 by 10 for you for food and beverage. But other than that, we're just looking for tables set out, or those food and beverage tables included inside one of the other tents that you already have. Same with Purple Play Zone. We don't normally have tents for that anyway, but we put it on there. And then the last big update over here on the right side, highlighted, this applies to all markets, regardless of size, is that the on-event t-shirt distribution is going away this year. T-shirts are going to be sent out directly to participants individually when they reach the fundraising requirement for it. So no more t-shirt distribution on event. So that t-shirt tent is going away as well. This is a lot, and this information is on the shared resource site. It will be in this deck that we send you after the call, and so there's lots of places where you can find this and sort of dig into it a little bit more. But any questions just sort of off the top on what you're seeing in front of you here and these changes that are coming?
No questions, just additional work for us to do, and then to rethink the start finish line, because we historically have balloon columns on it, but they're attached to that trussing system, and so if we don't have the truss, we don't have anything to attach them to.
Right.
We'll have to figure something out.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point with that as well that I wanted to also mention. When it comes to like whatever you're planning for the start finish, balloon arch or column, the AV package, we just need to make sure that, and I understand that me saying this right on the heels of you saying this is a lot more work for the affiliate may not be the best move, but that all of the sort of peripheral pieces that would go in place with something like this are thought of as well. And what I mean by that is if you've got a balloon arch out there, there needs to be something to weigh it down. And a lot of times the vendors will come with that. They've got those heavy metal plates that they can set up the columns or the arches on. But just something to factor into your conversations as you're talking with vendors who might fulfill some of these things is, okay, we need to remember to have some extra sandbags around or something to stake. Can we stake here at this park?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these additional things that we're going to have to come up with are coming out of our PurpleStride budget.
Yes, they're coming out of your event experience budget, and you're getting extra money in that budget because you have these extra things that you need to get. So Anna will have all the information on that and exactly what that number is going to look like.
I don't know if I haven't been told about any separate budget for this. Their budget is actually a little bit lower than last year. That this is probably a thing to ask Renee, I guess.
It is. Yeah. And just so you know, okay. Anna, this slide came from Renee. And so this note over here about expense added to local budget that's directly from the boss. It may be the kind of thing where you source it, you get a quote, and then it's an approval. Yeah. Okay. Or PanCan
I think it must be that. Yeah. Because Kim, I can't imagine. I mean, that would leave nothing for anything else if we had to get this AV system through the event. So don't worry about that. Let me talk to Renee and get clarification on that with her.
The other thing I'm a little worried about is I also am involved in a different nonprofit walk, and this year, which is also not a large walk for the market. Okay, and this year we had the smaller stage, we had a different start finish line, we had all of these things that look like we're doing now, and we heard a lot of feedback from the participants about the experience being less because of it. And that's something I'm concerned about, because I showed up there and I'm like, wow, this stage is really crappy and it's nothing like what we have at PanCan. And I'm sending my husband a picture of it, and it sounds like what we're going to have now. And so many people there were talking about how you couldn't distinguish the stage from any place else in the event space. And we didn't get good feedback from the participants at the walk. And this is making me concerned for the same thing.
I totally understand that. And we've already had discussions that, this is going to be one of the things that when we're looking at feedback at the end of this year's walk, that we're going to have to pay close attention to for the 10 or 11 markets that are part of this core package tier. For right now, it wasn't an easy decision for PanCan to decide to have to cut some things. Yeah, I know you get it. But this feedback is important. And I talk to Renee every week and let her know how the market calls are going and what we're hearing and everything. And this is certainly something that I can bring back, that, listen, this is a concern that our volunteers have leading in, because you have seen this on other events. You do know the impact of a sort of visible downsizing and what that's going to mean for the participant experience. So keep your ears open as you talk to people about it, as you confer with Anna and your other sort of committee volunteers when you're planning, and just let us know what feedback you're running into. You can definitely take this directly back to Anna anytime as well. What concerns are being voiced. We're going to address what we can that keeps us within this structure that we're sort of financially bound to a little bit here. But in terms of creative brainstorming on ways to zhuzh up any of these elements that feel like they're getting less exciting, we're always happy to give you whatever expertise from 20 years of event production of all sizes we can think of.
Will there be, I know you said for like the start finish, there'd be like the tall, I guess the with the long flaggy things on the sides. Are there going to be things like that for maybe the food and beverage tent that we can also purchase or our order, because otherwise it's just a table out in the field?
Yeah, that's a great question. And this has come up on a couple of the other calls that we've had already too. We do have some markets whose events are indoors or in sort of existing structures that they can't attach those storefront banners to, like you have. And so we have the artwork and the design for feather flags for everything, all the tents, all the teams and sponsors and things like that. I'm going to bring this back to PanCan on our next project call with them and just say, this is the question that's coming up for some of these things that are, that the visual structure of a tent with a sign on it, if that's going to be gone, how are people going to know that food and beverage is right there? How are they going to know that Why Do You Stride banner is on the side of the Survivor tent? So this is a thing that we can definitely ask about. When we talk about cost, the cost of one of those tall feather flags is certainly going to be less than the cost of renting a tent and tables and chairs. So I think it still is respectful of the financial goal of all of this. But that's the long answer. Short answer, I don't have an answer for you on that right now, but it is something that other volunteers are bringing up too, and we're going to ask about it.
Okay. And I would flag, Erin, when you're talking to Renee. I mean, tell me if you disagree, Kim. I think my bigger concern is probably food and beverage, because Why I Stride, there's usually volunteers there kind of explaining what it is. People know what to look for because there's the big banner that you write on. Food and beverage is more so. That's a standard of a 5K run walk that we need to provide the water and the snacks. So that's, to me, that's the one that I'm a little more concerned about not being clearly labeled. Because it's not as easy to spot from far away as some of the other things when it's like, yeah, we don't really need a banner for that because people will be able to see it. They'll come up, that's what it is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and without the tents, like forming a perimeter of the event space, you're going to bleed over into other spaces. It's not as a defined space. And I really like, because we're in a large field, that it's important for us to have that defined space. And I don't have to like it. I have to figure out how to deal with it. That's all.
You don't have to like it, but do continue to talk to us about it, because we want to help in whatever ways we can to make it as little of an impact on what you're used to. We don't want you or your participants coming out and going, this is not the PurpleStride I know and love, and I think that there's ways to do that as we're having these conversations with lots of different markets. So keep us looped in on it. We will bring this feedback up the chain as we're going throughout these calls. And if later, when you are looking at this slide again and going into all the details of it, if you have questions or need clarification about any of it, just shoot an email our way and we'll get you whatever answers.
Okay. Can I ask, just one more question?
Of course.
So obviously photo area, we don't usually put that in a tent anyways, because it make it all shadowy. I noticed it says weather permitting, we would add a tent for food and beverage. What about Why Do You Stride? Because it's all marker things. So I would imagine if there's not a tent, it'd just be marker bleeding everywhere. Is that something that weather permitting would add a tent to?
That's a great question. I think that the answer we get will probably be, well, if that's the case, then you need to find a tent that you can hang on the inside.
And just put it on the inside.
Yeah. Okay. Which
so
again is like a little bit of last minute creative troubleshooting that you like, I don't know, I have to do this. But it's a good question.
At least think about it in advance if we know that.
Yeah.
So that's helpful.
Yeah. Okay, did you have rain last year? You were okay last year, right?
First year ever we were okay. I think it rained for like 5 minutes. Yeah, but it was actually, we weren't freezing. It was lovely.
I love that for you.
Fingers crossed for the same this year.
Okay, I'm just making a note of that one too. Okay, I know this was a lot. We'll do a little palate cleanser. Talking about weather. Oh, we were just talking about this. Amazing. The key takeaway from this slide for you guys is that we're looking at weather very, very closely, starting 7 to 10 days out from the event. Basically, as soon as they start to give us the forecast for April 25th, we'll be looking at it. At that time, when we're looking at it, if it's looking like storms are headed Richmond's way, it's looking like temperatures are going to be especially low or especially high, anything could happen. We do have some other weather contingency pieces that we can put into place. You're already going to have a tent on your stage, so you get that no matter what. That's great. But things like sidewalls for the survivor tent or heaters, Richmond is not a market that's probably going to be affected like this. This is what Chicago asks us for every year in April, is we need heaters for survivors. But same thing with hot weather. Like if it's looking like you're going to get hit with a late April heat wave, we could bring in ice and coolers or some extra shade tents. But these decisions, I just want you to be aware, are not going to be made until right before the event, and sometimes not even in time to make it onto the final map. So just know that if there's something we're going to be calling in for weather concerns for Richmond, we'll let you know via email, and your event staff, your Event 360 staff, will have a full rundown of what those weather contingency pieces might be. Did you have another question, Kim? You look like you were about to talk.
No, I was just nodding my head saying, okay.
Excellent. All right. How'd you like to look at Richmond sitemap? Let's take a look at Richmond sitemap and see what this new layout might be looking like a little bit. While Ashley is pulling that up, let me just real quickly confirm event timeline for Richmond. Last year we had a 7:30 site open, 8:30 walks. 8:30 opening ceremony, 9 a.m. walk start, and 11 o'clock event end. Do you still like those times? Are you still happy with this?
The Democratic vote of the committee says yes.
Okay. Kim's vote, maybe not, but okay, we will leave it as is. You let us know if there's a coup of some kind that we need to be aware of, and we will. I think that's an update we can make at this site. All right, Ashley, take us through the site layout.
Yeah, this is also my first one with the core package too, so please step in if I didn't catch everything. I also know that this was the first time last year, so if there were any like changes, Kim, whenever you were there that just didn't make sense, how it was on the map, I'm happy to like make a live update right now, knowing like that was your first time and there might need to be some changes too. But I have go ahead.
I was gonna say, we talked with our local on-site Aaron, Event 360, about flipping it 180 degrees.
Okay.
So that 4 pictures.
So the stage is on the south?
Correct. So that 4 pictures with going towards the stage, you have the lake in the background.
Okay. I can totally do that.
And
you're gonna all your writing is gonna be upside down, Ashley, if you do that.
I know.
That's okay.
I might need to change this after.
Yeah,
so I will make a note to do it after.
But sorry, just a quick clarifying question, Kim. Do you want the survivor reg donation and food truck and pro teams and Purple Play Zone on the same side they're on, just swapped positions?
I think it's fine, except the survivors and the registration tent, those 2 tents should not be side by side, because we get interplay and people coming into the wrong tent.
Gotcha.
So survivors, if survivors could be like where the food truck is right now, and then maybe put
the food truck in between survivors and registration.
I don't know that I like that either.
Okay. This is just workshopping, so none of this is like final after this call, just so you know.
The other thing we could think about, Kim, is because I'm looking to your point about being concerned that it's too open, like with some of the tents that won't be there. I'm wondering if maybe we want to put a tent where the photo area is, so that it's not, since that won't be a tent, and then Purple Play Zone won't be a tent.
Or if you want to have the 10 by 10 tent frame there,
then
with the photo banner on it, then it's still a
frame
structure.
Would probably solve that problem. Okay.
Yeah. So, and Ashley has that on here already. It's not colored purple because it's just the frame, right there next to S1. So
yeah, that makes sense.
It's on there as a placeholder for right now. If you want to tell us right now, yes, that's what we want to do, we'll leave it on there. If you're like, we're not sure, maybe we want to put the banner somewhere else, we can always take it off later.
And I'm sorry, I didn't catch that too. If you did keep it, you wanted it over here on the other side?
I think Anna was just saying, have something there next to S1. And in this case, it might just be that tent frame for the banners.
Yeah. Okay. And then the only other thing to consider would probably be, and Kim, you can ask them, but I'm thinking the food truck will probably want to stay on the same side because they'll probably want to have to drive through less grass as opposed to more grass. But it's also kind of hard to tell from the map. It might not be that much of a difference from that road.
It's really not that far. It's not that far. And I'm wondering if we put the food and beverage table in between the registration, donation, volunteer check-in, and the survivor, so there's a separation between them, and put the food in there. I don't know yet if Jill's Blankets is coming. I'm trying to get clarification on that, but that would just be a table. It wouldn't be a tent. And then and we need, 13 food truck.
I'm thinking obviously do what you want, Kim, but I would recommend if you're moving the stage to the other side, I would say maybe move the pro teams too, so that they're like a little bit closer to the stage.
And maybe put the
like swap with Purple Plaza. Yeah.
Just because I know that's always a nice perk for them to be able to maybe stay in the tent while they're watching the opening ceremony and stuff.
And just to go back to food and beverage real quick, we do have on the tent order allotted 4 6-foot rectangular tables for food and beverage. So it's not just going to be one table sitting there all sad and lonely in the middle. It'll be a little bit more of an area. Just won't have the tent over it.
Tent, okay.
Look at Ashley making things happen in real time.
And we can talk too, Kim. You and I can chat after this. Let's set up a time, but we can talk about between affiliate budget and the PurpleStride budget, if we want to look into creative signage options for the food and beverage area. That's something we can, especially knowing if you guys have the artwork, Erin, that's something that we can always kind of decide to do on our own too, if we want to make it stand out a little bit.
Yeah, and even if it turns out that we're not approved to add feather flags other than for start and finish, we absolutely can do coroplast. So the 16 by 24 sort of rigid plastic signs that go in the in the stakes in the ground, the yard signs, we can do those for food and beverage regardless.
Yeah. Well, and I was even thinking, Kim, I'm just thinking about when I go to health fairs and stuff, they make things that are they pull out of something. We could always
we'll FedEx will make those for you. But I know it comes down to budget a lot too.
Yeah.
But something to keep in mind even with that is that, if this is going to be these infrastructure changes are going to persist in future years too. If you do a little bit of capital outlay this year to get some of this stuff, then you have
that was kind of my
you're thought. Yeah. That's how people are thinking about the start finish inflatables too. That hey, then we have it, and then we don't have to get it next year.
Right.
We do need a pro teams because we're gonna have a tent for pro teams, right?
Yes, a 10 by 20.
We need a sign. We don't have a sign.
Okay.
The banner thing, we don't have one of those.
Okay, because I will make sure that when we, you said 20, that would be 20 feet long, Erin?
20 feet, yeah, and those should have been ordered for every market last year. I know that the signage orders got a little messed up in some places or sent to the wrong places, and they wouldn't have Richmond on it, so it's possible somebody else ended up with 2 Pro Teams banners and you ended up with none. But yes, we definitely can get you the Pro Teams banner.
Okay, and we'll just do that when we do the signage order.
Yep.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. Since you mentioned it, the signage portal is going to be similar to what it was last year. That's going to open probably mid to end February. You'll get all kinds of alerts about when that is good to go. And Anna, as you know, there's some stuff that Can will order, some stuff that Event 360 will order, and then Kim, you will have access to it as well, so you can review and put in signage requests in there too. So are we good with leaving the tent frame on there for photo area and wide use stride? It feels like that might be the move for this event village. Yeah. I think it gives you something to work with.
And S1 is sponsor, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I just don't have it on here yet.
And that's based on the one sponsor you had last year. Obviously, if that changes, if you have all-star teams that qualify for a tent, we will add those on here. You don't have to let us know. And then if you can tweak the placement of them when we talk on our next call.
Okay.
Any other site questions?
I don't know if this is a you guys question or not, but one of the things that came up last year was there's not a ton of parking up by the event space. So we have one area that we leave for the survivors and a couple of other people. And then we had too many volunteers park in the closest space, that A space. So we're gonna make sure the volunteers park further away. But the question came up, this Dory Park Drive, is there parking along the road allowed?
I'll check in and I'll follow up. See what they say.
It's definitely an us question, but actually we'll have to ask them. Yeah.
And then based on, I think I should be able to, based on what Ashley finds, if it is allowed, I can submit that as a website request change, because I do think that will probably be good for us to say on the website, parking is allowed along here. Because I think,
or on the other hand, if it's absolutely not allowed, we want to make sure people know that too. So
people know that too. So probably either way, we'll want that info to be on the website for sure. Great question.
Did you have last year, Kim, enough like signage that said survivor parking? Do you need any more of that, do you think? Or signs that say general parking, volunteer parking? We can do any of those.
Yeah, I think we're okay, because our survivor chairs do a really good job of getting in touch with the survivors beforehand to tell them where to park. So I think we don't need signage for that. And our volunteer chair is really good in dealing with the volunteers. So I'll just have her tell them to park down there. I may change my mind and just get one volunteer parking sign beforehand, but we have a call tonight and I'll ask her about that if she's on there. But I think we're okay with regard to that kind of signage.
And yeah, we have flexibility on the signage, Kim, because you have the ability to go in and do like the custom signs. So we can always cross that bridge when we come to it too, in terms of signage.
And Kim, I will say right now, since you mentioned your meeting tonight, I know I've said that we will send you the deck of what we've gone over, and the reality of our very, very busy call schedule right now is that you probably won't get that email today. But if you do want to share those infrastructure changes in particular in your meeting tonight, okay, because it is on the shared resource side as kind of a standalone, and I can send you the link to that if nothing else.
Yeah, I took notes and I took a picture of the updated site map I'm going to share with them, so we're good.
Perfect. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the route.
All right. How did the route go last year? I know that was new too.
So the route worked great, except what we'd like to do is separate the two loops around the lake and do one at the beginning and then one at the end instead of two at the end.
Okay, great. But I was actually thinking about that last year too.
Yeah, other than that, it worked great. Everybody loved the fact that there was, multiple options to stop before the full route. And so other than that, it worked great. If we could just I think what we'll do is we'll have the start finish. We'll go the same way. We'll do a loop around the lake, go back through start finish, and then do the lap and then come back around, I think is what we'll do.
And then everybody gets to go around the lake too.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that change the shorter route then too? Will the shorter route just be around the lake?
If you want to keep it where the turnaround is right now, like where that light purple meets the dark purple, we can do that. It's just going to be longer than a mile at that point if it's going around the lake. So we can make the turnaround earlier somewhere, since this is just an out and back. You can really turn around anywhere. Or to Ashley's point, like the short route could just be around the lake and back to the event village. And then if people want to do a lot more distance, they'll keep going.
Let me ask that question. It might make sense just to do just around the lake as the short route, because there, like we said, there's multiple other options for turning around. So let me ask that.
Yeah, ultimately people can turn around anytime. So let's see, some of our routes are like 3 miles entirely around a lake. And once you get out there, you're stuck out there. There's no crossing over the lake to get back.
Yeah,
So
that other walk I do is a certified 5K, and there's no I mean, you can turn around and come back, but there's no good point where you're headed back anyway, right? It's a little turn around and come back, and that's one of the things that we have to deal with for next year, because it's just not working out for some of the survivors. Just can't make that whole route.
Sure. Yeah.
All
right.
Stop.
I will steal the screen share back. Let's look real quickly at the vendor tracker. So Kim, you may remember in past years, this IRF vendor tracker was a big dense document that was like about 8 or 9 pages long. Each page was a different vendor. So all the tents were on one page, all the AV was on one page, the porta potties were on their own page. We restructured this document this year in a way that I think makes it much more intuitive. I'm just going to take you through this real quickly. So this first page, planning and event summary, not really anything you need to know. These are mostly internal notes. Down here on the second page where we get into vendor summary, this is where you're going to start to see us fill in the name of vendors as they're booked. Right now, there's only one on here, the EMS. Don't panic or be alarmed that there aren't more on here. We're still at the very beginning of starting to book these vendors, but we'll start to fill in the tent company name, the toilet name, everything will be on here. This list has a lot of stuff on it that we absolutely are not going to need. We don't need VIP security. We don't need fans. We're not doing paid labor. There's a lot of stuff on here that you may look at and go, why is this on our list? It's because this new version of this document is one that we are using for all of our events. And so we left everything on there for right now, just to make sure nothing gets forgotten when we're all still learning the new format of this document. By the next time you see it, a lot of this stuff is going to be deleted. So it'll really just be stuff that does apply to your event, that we are ordering or reserving in some capacity for your event. Or in the case of like audio visual, it'll just be noted that it's PanCan provided. And then if you want to provide us the name of your AV company, we can add it on here, but with a note that we are not booking that vendor.
Do we need to do anything with regard to like certificates of insurance or any of that kind of stuff for anybody that comes on site?
Yeah, in some cases you may have to, especially if it's something like your DJ needs to bring a generator to power their sound system, or an inflatable is going to need a generator of some kind. Ashley, I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, but some sites, it varies everywhere, require permitting for generators, require permitting for other special infrastructure that you're bringing in. If we become aware that any of that is required for the pieces that you guys are reserving, we'll let you know what's going to be needed. Like, hey, don't forget to get a COI from the balloon vendor or whatever. I don't know, Ashley, do you know off the top if that's something we've had to, like, do we have to permit generators here or anything?
No, we shouldn't have to do that. But I think we did this last year too, but definitely for the food truck. That's the one thing that they were.
And there is, if we flip the stage, there is power back there. It might be based on where we're putting the stage. It might be too far back, but there's power back there already. But yeah, just we'll figure out what we're going to do and then what we need to do to be able to make that happen.
Sure. Yeah, we'll keep you looped in on any paperwork that might be needed, because this is new logistical aspects that you haven't had to worry about before.
One thought on the porta potties, we had 2 last year. We're requesting 3.
Okay.
I think I put that on there.
Probably just the 1 handicap and then 2 regular, I think would probably.
Yeah, I think, it looks like we've got 3 standard on here for you right now. And
yeah,
1
we
ADA.
only had 2 last year, I think.
Okay.
And then I saw down below, there was like underneath that stuff that we probably won't deal with. It said white picket fence tent. Number 72, line 72.
Oh, thank you. Usually, because if it's an event that we have white picket fencing at, that almost always comes from the tent company.
Okay, because we wanted to add a piece. We get 2 pieces and we wanted to add a third.
Okay. That's down here. That segued me perfectly into this next section. So now we're talking about orders and distribution. So these first three numbered sections, 1, 2, 3, general supplies and services, are things that we're ordering for the event that don't necessarily have like a specific place that they're going to be for the whole thing. Like, you know, the radios are wandering around the whole time and the porta potties go wherever they go, but they don't go in one specific tent. So these are just kind of general. Again, there's a lot on here that you're not going to need that we will ultimately delete from this list, so you don't even have to worry about looking at it. But here is where we can add white picket fencing. I think it's on here somewhere. If it's not, we can certainly add it. And same with route supplies and general site services. So the services would be things like they're going to hang the banners for us. They're going to set up the tables and chairs for us, the tent company. So those are the first three sections. After those general sections, we start to get down into the specific areas of the event. So why do you stride we have on here still as the tent frame is still marked as the one on here for the tent frame, and what would be needed for this, all the tables and chairs that you'd need for it, the pipe and drape to put the sign on the outside. Get down into the core package. These are things that you're going to be booking, but we put the numbers on here so just so that we know exactly what's going to be part of this AV core package. Food and beverage, no tent here you see, but we do have the tables and chairs and the ways to cover the quick covers to go on the tables, right on down the line. Protein, survivors. The idea behind formatting the document like this is that when this document is in your event book and you're out there, you or the other volunteers or the staff can take this document and go around to each section of the event village and know exactly what's supposed to be there. Okay, we're supposed to have a tent here and 4 tables and 6 chairs. Do we have all that here? If not, let's get what we need into this area. Down at the very bottom, when we get our pivot tables to start cooperating, under this vendor report section, it is going to be broken out by vendor. So the tent vendor will be listed here with total numbers of everything they're bringing. So again, you can look at that next to the invoice they hand you when they do their delivery and go, okay, these numbers match up. Like they have brought us everything that we ordered. So it's just a little bit more of an intuitive, effective way to look at setting up the event village. We kind of really had the staff and volunteers who were on the ground at the event in mind when we set it up like this. All-star teams and sponsors, we're going to fill in when we know those final numbers. If you don't have any of those, we'll delete them so that nobody gets confused and think that something's missing. Any questions on this new format, on what's on here? These numbers will not be finalized until March. So we've got lots of time to make changes if you dive into it and want to let us know.
Okay.
All right. This call was a lot. We had a lot to go over on this call. I think it's very good that now we're all on the same page. This is where we want to be at the end of this call. The conversation certainly does not end after this call is over. I'm sure there will be other questions that come up as you continue to pore over the documents and talk with Anna and the other volunteers. Shoot us an email anytime, and we will answer any questions that you have. We've got a few follow-up items on our list that we're going to check into and let you know what we find out. Anna, obviously, if you get answers on stuff before you get an email from us about stuff, sometimes information makes its way down in different speeds. Definitely share that as well. And our next call with you will be late March, early April. That'll be that final details call. If there's something that is coming up before then that you're just really feeling like we need to have a conversation about this is too much to put in an email, just let us know. We throw one-off calls on the calendar all the time just to see each other's faces and actually have a chat rather than try and spell it all out over text. Other than that, you're keeping in mind end of January to get us any requests to go in the next round of updates. And then March 16th after that is the big old deadline for everything. Yeah. Any last minute questions from you or items you want us to think about?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, then the last thing I will say to you is thank you, as always. We know that this we're entering year 5 of our collaboration between Event 360 and PanCan, which in a lot of ways is so great because we've ironed out a lot of things and made them more efficient. And then we always get new things thrown at us every year. So we appreciate your patience and your enthusiasm and your dedication to working with us and working so hard to make the event amazing. we provide the bones. You really make it what it is, and such a memorable experience for your participants. He always knows when I don't know how he knows when I'm about to end the call, but he gets real needy. So yeah, let us know if there's anything else, and it's a pleasure to see you as always. I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your help.
All right, take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye now.